Been a long time coming, a lot of dough running, hustling trying to dodge these cases.
This your boy Young
Niggas been dealing, the streets been begging, so I had to go back to the basics.
Clearly, my message in all of my videos is one and the same. With everything that I've witnessed playing out with this case against Robert Kelly, I can say, just like some of these participants, I never expected things to play out as they did, but as I continued to watch, it became very clear that people were intentionally putting things out here on the internet in order to sell their cases against him. So that made me think, if they had all this evidence against this man, and when you compare other people's cases and investigations, why did they have to intentionally put all this information out there, align certain people with this man in order to attach the crimes that they publicly admit to doing to Robert Kelly? So then when I make it make sense and even show you how it applies to all these industries in these record contracts and how people's focus is clearly being shifted away from them, it becomes clear to me who's profiting the most, while I have given you ample motives as to why people are actively participating in covering up this fraud. Just the same way people are doing with other people's cases. We still ain't came up with none of these children that Robert Kelly allegedly abused. We can't pull up no security footage from none of his residents that captured none of this abuse. But everybody keep getting on these social media platforms facilitating the narratives that will lead to a lot of artists other than Robert Kelly forfeiting their assets, in which these corporations knew this and knew that, but nobody did anything but took insurance policies on these artists. So let's say people out here sue these artists and these corporations settle on their behalf. The general public will generally feel like that means that the artist is guilty of something and bypass the fact that, well, if that's the case, these corporations are liable. So to then turn around and go to these corporations and demand that they drop these artists, mute these artists, cancel these artists after we sat back and saw them prosper, imitating these La Familias just to get caught up in a RICO and everything that they've worked for being handed over to these corporations. But just sit back and watch this video make sense, because it's funny how people in the black community will ignore all the things leading up to situations but ignore the obvious facts. Now, I made it perfectly clear why I side-eyed all these characters who came out with their interesting, salacious stories. But a lot of people just didn't pay attention to what I said. And basically, what I said was, I myself work for a corporation. So when it comes to seeing these corporations have all these individuals in place to keep them profiting, never mind the fact that they're violating work policies, including having people in these slave contracts and other things I'll get to later, such as pay. Let's take me for an example. I am an individual who don't play when it comes to my money. So imagine when I work for a corporation that allows its employees to evade my privacy, then turn around and use these same employees to discriminate against me, and somehow expect me to keep volunteering above and beyond services that they don't want to compensate me for. So imagine one of your managers tell you some stupid shit like, if you don't clock in, you don't get paid. Never mind, it's their job to ensure their employees are clocked in, and it's against the law to work people without paying them. They will tell people this type of stupid shit knowing that they won't challenge them. But they got the right one when it comes to a person like me, and I'm not the type to kiss nobody's ass to get a position with nobody. So use your common sense. When I say this whole thing is bigger than R. Kelly, I'm speaking as a whole for regular schmegular people like me, and how corporations will use excuses to underpay and take advantage of individuals. So when it came to this whole mute R. Kelly bullshit, that was the first red flag to me.
Fuck you, pay me. Fuck you, pay me. Nigga, fuck you, pay me. Fuck you, pay me. I had money to make.
So let's switch gears for a second, because in the industry we know that if you offend the wrong type of people, it could cost you your whole career. And the things the media tell you as an excuse for you to turn a blind eye to the hypocrisy is what gets me every time.
I'm sorry, y'all. He's a super bitch ass nigga. Or should I say it in his voice? He's a super bitch ass nigga. I'm ready for your 100 shots or whatever you want to bring, fuck nigga. Or you can tell your manager, I give him $10,000 right now. He can come over here in Pakistan and I give him $10,000 right now for your whole ass to take that picture down. I'm trying to bring black men to the motherfucking religion, and you over here playing with God. You think Jesus wanted to be crucified on the cross, nigga? Jesus didn't want to be up there, nigga. He was forced up there, nigga. Did you read the motherfucking Bible? Oh, y'all fuck niggas just playing with God like this shit something to play with, nigga.
Now, when the tragedy struck about Dolph, the first name that hit the internet, of course, was Yo Gotti and Black Youngster, because apparently a lot of people don't know that it's a lot of beefs going on in the industry. Some of them are staged and some of them are for publicity. And when we allow people to let the publicity beefs go left and ignore all the things that we see playing out, it's easy to understand how some of these people could be unjustly accused when they have no involvement just by the people they associate with. Now, just as we saw in Robert Kelly's case, having the wrong associates trying to attach themselves to you and your brand can be used maliciously, especially when you have the feds coming up with all these RICO charges against these gangsters, but overlooking the mob. They're overlooking all these record labels and other businesses that were established as a result of drug money and other illegal activities. Yet we're supposed to believe some of these celebrities are actively engaging in other activities when it's clear as day the things being presented to us are illogical.
Right now at 5, 3 men in police custody in the Young Dolph murder case. The Shelby County District Attorney's Office and Memphis Police Department with new developments over the past 24 hours. A third man, Shondell Barnett, is facing charges of accessory after the fact to first-degree murder, accused of assisting Justin Johnson as he evaded law enforcement. Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith are both in custody and have been indicted. Now, both are charged for first-degree murder. Smith is being held without bond tonight. Well, Brad Broders is live at the still-growing Young Dolph Memorial on Airways. That's where the rapper was shot and killed November 17th. So, Brad, what kind of help did authorities get in the case?
Well, Rudy, in the nearly 2 months since the shooting death of Young Dolph inside this store, law enforcement received hundreds of tips and leads, which led to the cross-country manhunt and capture of one suspect, the charging of another suspect locally, and potentially more arrests to come.
We do what we do, and we do it for the safety of our community.
It really speaks to the work that these guys and gals do every day.
Federal and local law enforcement revealing new details on a nearly 2-month-long investigation and the relentless search for the men accused of shooting and killing Memphis rapper Young Dolph, Justin Johnson, and Cornelius Smith.
From day one, there were leads, and these investigators have been on the trail.
U.S. Marshals took Johnson into custody Tuesday near Terre Haute, Indiana, several days after authorities announced a warrant and reward for his arrest. Johnson waived extradition Wednesday morning, and Marshals said he'll soon be transferred back to Memphis.
He will go before a judge in this building, go before a federal magistrate and have an initial appearance.
Tuesday, we also learned about Smith, the second suspect also indicted in Dolph's murder and already being held in DeSoto County on a separate charge. Authorities say they're confident Johnson and Smith are the men in this surveillance video taken moments before young Dolph was shot on November 17th at Makita's Cookies on Airways Boulevard in Memphis.
We can't say 100%, but we have enough information to have pushed this particular case to the point that it is now and pursue this in a court of law. There was enough evidence, enough material evidence, enough support and witnesses to be able to get this case to this point.
Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis told the public the Young Dolph shooting case is ongoing and still very active.
We, continue to conduct this investigation. There's no telling where it could potentially lead. There could be other individuals that are implicated in this particular homicide.
Now, if you just listen to the things that are being put on the internet and mainstream media, you wouldn't recognize that even after Dolph's death, there was a whole lot of retaliating going on and a whole lot of people putting certain information out there that would obviously put people in harm's way, especially when you don't have valid sources. So for those people who are really interested in what's really going on, the best thing to do is to do your research surrounding the people from this area to start with, and then start to put the pieces together instead of going by what agitators come out here saying, which doesn't make sense. Obviously, many artists have been in beefs back and forth, but just because that has been an occurrence, does that mean when something happens, people should run to the internet and start putting janky information out that they don't know is true? At the end of the day, Yo Gotti has never publicly said anything negative towards Young Dolph that would warrant people's automatic speculations. Nonetheless, his artists under his label have their own mind, their own agendas, and their own ways to promote their music. Now let me be clear. People from the South know Yo Gotti's background. So don't get misconstrued, because I don't believe people should run to the internet and use clickbait and also put out stupid ass narratives just to sound like they know what the fuck they're talking about. When at the end of the day, a lot of people will associate people's backgrounds and tie them into crimes for the feds and the police. Just because you may have a background and a lot of rumors around your name, does that give people the right to violate your privacy? Your rights as an American citizen. But hey, so many don't know their rights, so I might as well be making that a rhetorical question. So to make this make sense, as we see with this third suspect in this Young Dolph situation, we see he was charged as an accessory. My thing is, when it comes to Robert Kelly and all these people that claim they knew this and that, all these people who were called enablers, all these people who were complicit to crimes, shouldn't they be charged with being an accessory? Well, hey, let's put that to the side. Let's focus on the ones who specifically got on camera and had the audacity to admit sleeping with minors on film, and nobody saying jack shit while they collect their awards, while they give their interviews, and while they collect on their book deals.
So what kind of stuff did he tell you?
First thing he confided in me about was about his own sexual abuse. He told me that his sister molested him when they were children. She would make him put a pencil in her vagina, do oral on him. He would do oral on her, things like that. So that made me really comfortable with talking to him about what happened to me. And, that was like the first initial thing that made us kind of bond, you know what I mean? So yeah, we dealt with that. He told me about him and Aaliyah, their situation. They had a pact, pins and eyeballs, no matter what anyone said, or if anyone stuck pins in their eyeballs, they would never tell about their relationship. things like that.
Okay, so what exactly did he tell you about his relationship with Aaliyah outside of the pins and eyeballs thing?
He told me that they were married, that she was pregnant, that they did doctor up the marriage certificate, so she would say that she was 18, so they could get married. And the reason they got married was because they felt like if he was married to her, and if he said he thought that she was 18, that he wouldn't be charged if someone found out she was pregnant until they were able to get the abortion and get it annulled.
Okay, because I'd always heard that rumor that R. Kelly married Aaliyah because he had gotten her pregnant.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. And this came out of his mouth. I could take a lie detector test to this. This is what he told me, specifically told me.
Okay. I mean, you cleared out like literally a decades old rumor.
Right.
Like,
No,
I've
it's
never
not a
heard
rumor.
anyone actually.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So R. Kelly was having sex with her from like what age? 14, 15?
Honestly, I'm not really sure the age, but I definitely know when they got married, she was 15. So if she was pregnant, I mean, I'm imagining at least 14, So.
Okay. So R. Kelly gets Aaliyah pregnant. They try to get married with a fake age. It ultimately gets annulled. Aaliyah never talks about it.
Yeah. They stuck to their pact.
Yeah. And I remember seeing an interview with Dame Dash, who had dated her, years later, right before she passed.
Yes.
And he even said that he had asked her about it once, and she said, "I don't want to talk about it." And that was the end of that. So, I mean, she stuck to that. Did you ask him at all why he was having, because he was probably, 24, 25 at the time? Like, why he was having sex with a 14-year-old?
Yeah, he was older. I never asked him why. I guess because we were kind of like in a conversation of just confiding in each other. But he did get a little more in depth with more details about when her mother found out, and that her mother, he actually stayed at their home in Detroit, and her mother actually was sexually attracted to him as well. And he said when Aaliyah would go to sleep, that he would, this is what he said. He said that he would go in the living room and him and her would do sexual acts on the couch while Aaliyah was asleep in the bedroom.
R. Kelly was having sex with Aaliyah and her mother at the same time?
That's
not the exact same time, but
that's
the
what
same
he said.
time frame?
That's what he says. Yeah.
Oh, so maybe this is why Aaliyah's parents have never spoken out themselves.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Wow, this is something I've never heard before.
Right. Came from his mouth.
Now, clearly, I spend my time giving you logical information so that you can do your own research instead of following me in chats trying to challenge me in anything that I believe, because again, you don't know how to obviously disconnect from people who are distracting you. People who are obviously feeding into the things that, yet again, we will see playing out in this upcoming Chicago trial. Because as I have presented to you, a lot of people want you to believe Rashona Landfair is testifying. I disagree. A lot of people came out here facilitating a lot of narratives that I disagreed with. So to put this whole video in perspective for those who don't know how to read between the lines, just like my coworkers at my job, they fail to realize that I don't give a shit what they think about anything I say and or do. When it comes to any problems I have, I know how to go to the direct sources. I don't have to go back and forth with peons on the internet who ain't got the good sense God gave them to know ain't no real gangster gonna be on the internet doing a lot of this fugazi ass shit, which furthermore makes me feel like when you see all these internet beefs, all these industry beefs, it should be a signal to you to disconnect from the bullshit and focus on what they're trying to distract you from, period. And just like my coworkers, I make it very blatant and clear. I don't answer to any of them, nor do I have to sit by and let them continue to harass and try to intimidate anything that I say or do via social media when I have the freedom of speech to say what I think and feel, and people that don't like it can get the fuck on. Obviously, I put in your face clear extortion, all these people linking up trying to get affiliated with people who may know this man just to present these facades in front of you while they put all this bullshit on Robert Kelly and overlook all the paperwork that clearly shows you the biggest issue is not Robert Kelly. If you say he is guilty, then look at all these enablers and accomplices who went unnoticed. If Lil' Kim can do some time for some perjury, all these girls can too, because we have clearly seen their stories gliding all over the place, and them being implicated in obvious fraud and corruption. And then, like this DJ Vlad we see all over the place, it's funny how his mobsters that he does interviews with don't get all this attention that these artists get after he interviews them, and all these Ricos pop up because of their affiliations nobody cared about when they were signed.
In the middle of all of these allegations, R. Kelly's just dropping music.
I believe I can fly.
Songs like Ignition.
Here's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen.
I Wish.
See you again someday. Cause there is something that I want from you.
A very talented young man.
Boy, be brave. Don't be afraid. We're gonna go all the way. Believe I can fly. Here's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. See you again someday, yeah. Cause there is something that I want from you. Boy, be brave, don't be afraid. And where everyone will have a hero. Yeah. Be brave, don't be afraid. We're gonna. I admit that I don't own my music. I admit that I will own my music. Want it back, but they don't wanna do it. What the fuck, nigga? I wrote that music. I did that bumping ground. I did that 12.
I am handcuffed, like a lot of you motherfuckers. I'm handcuffed by my destiny. It's too late. They should have did this 30 years ago. It's too late.
Gotham City. City of justice.